Yeah, he
Do I
just
love
dies.
BattleTech books?
BattleTech novels or BattleTech the game
No,
the
he's
game
meaning
books?
books, like the novelization books.
I think I might have read
Unless he's meaning
one
the game.
way back in like the 90s or something.
Royce had
Um,
a BattleTech writer on Iron Age Knights a
yeah, I
few
watched an
years back.
Yes,
episode
that's
and
he
that was
got
awesome.
canceled and they fired his ass. Razorfist had him right on after he got fired. 'Cause Razorfist is a big BattleTech dude.
I have never read or played BattleTech. I watched an anime like that. I think it was called Robotech when I was growing up.
Kind of
Uh,
similar, sorta ish.
Robotech. Let's see, isn't Robotech the Americanized? No, let's see.
Maybe.
I'm
I
trying
just
to
remember I
remember.
saw an anime called Robotech when I was a little kid.
Yeah, Robotech was pretty good. I don't remember much about it though, other than the transforming space fighters or something. Oh, Robotech is Macross. Okay, Macross is Robotech.
Huh. Hmm.
Wait, read out what was that? Held by my historical weep surrounded by nerds. Oh my god.
Oh, you're a
Wait,
nerd too, just for different subject matter.
Well, you mentioned about Robotech, and yeah, King Bob's right. Basically, Robotech was like a botched Americanized version of Macross. Like they took these different parts of Macross and like stitched them together out of sync, and then released them as a movie because they're like, Americans won't understand this well constructed plot of Macross. Let's just
Oh,
screw
okay.
it all up. It's not the first nor the last time they did it.
Yeah, the other one I remember wasn't Voltron one where they took two different animes and like mashed them together or something.
Voltron is where they took Power Rangers and combined them with Transformers and
Well,
Gundam.
Voltron
Voltron was around before Power
Yeah.
Rangers.
Yeah.
And
See,
then they had a second Voltron series, and eventually they crossed the two over. They dropped little hints of connective tissue, not
'cause
in the original one with the lions, but the one with all the different cars that formed together. It was a much
yeah,
bigger team.
I remember the Lions one the most.
Yeah.
But I do remember some. Like I remember there
Are we
was one
talking
with
about
vehicles,
Power
but
Rangers
don't remember
now?
that much.
No,
No,
we're talking about
Voltron.
Voltron. Yeah, that was a second Voltron bot, and those were originally two separate things altogether. But I think in the American version, they dropped the little hints, like one of the people on the automobile version of Voltron, where there's a bunch of cars that form into Voltron, mentioned his cousin Pidge, who worked in the other Lion Voltron twice.
Oh, okay.
But I don't think that was in the original version of that. That was something I think added in for the American audiences, and then they made a crossover where it was the two Voltrons working together in the final battle between Keith and Prince Lotor.
Yeah,
And I think that was a US made version, but they made it look like the anime.
I
And they
think
kept
after
this consistent.
the normal episodes, then they just sort of like randomly rotated between both of them. It was like the Voltron time slot or whatever, and it just whatever.
Huh.
And then when I saw Power Rangers come out, I actually never really got into. I was just going into adulthood.
Yeah, too
Power
old for it.
Rangers are out. I'm like, at first I watched. I'm like, oh, this reminds me of Voltron. I got to check it out. And then after 5 minutes, I'm like, a little too corny for me.
Yeah,
A little
5 years
too
ago, I
corny,
would have
it's
loved this. It's
way
a little,
too corny.
Hey, read
I
out.
tried rewatching it.
but it was still a cultural phenomenon. You cannot deny that, corny or not. Look, Adam West Batman was corny, and that was a cultural phenomenon, and we all love it, no matter how corny and campy it was.
Biff Bam Pow.
Read out.
Band Cow. Hola.
What's your opinion on General Ambrose Burnside?
Yeah.
There, I got him comfortable again.
He's like, finally, something I can nerd out to.
Between Manji and Jose, you're getting me comfortable for two very different reasons.
So please describe us the political makeup of Soviet Union, after
That's
World
not-
War II.
That's not my field. Go ask Kikoman.
Burnside
Fuck
is
you,
not
no.
Soviet Union.
Kahuna, are you talking about? He asked, "What do you think about live action dubs for a movie?" I grew up with them, so it's not ever as weird. But now, as an adult, it's pretty funny and cringe. Are you talking about when they dub in a different the English
They
over
dub
top?
over, yeah, they
Yeah.
dub over the whatever
So,
language.
so they all look like Kai and Tai in WWE.
Yeah.
No, well, they all speak English instead of
Yeah, but
Japanese.
are we talking like with Power Rangers where they're taking one live action thing and making it into something completely different? Or are we just talking about a simple dubbing, just a translation dub?
I think he's talking about a translation dub.
I always go with the OG if it's live action. Animation's different, but if it's live action, I'm always watching the original with the subtitles.
Well, okay, so like Power Rangers, if you watch all of Rita's scenes, she was not in English.
We
Holy
know.
crap, King Bob, you remember that? That was so
Hercules in
strange
New
to
York?
see.
The
Because
start of Schwarzenegger.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I didn't know about this. I didn't know about this till years after I was like almost to adulthood. I was a Schwarzenegger fan. I'm like, yeah, Terminator, I'll be back. And then I see this Hercules in New York. Oh, I got to check this out. And it's not Ernie's voice. It was his first movie. He couldn't even speak English. So they had him mouth words and dubbed in somebody else's voice.
Oh gosh,
It was so weird.
Hold up, but they dubbed him as like a generic white dude.
no,
as well.
no. Get rid of the Boku no Pico. That's wrong.
I don't even think they couldn't speak English. I think it's because his Austrian accent was so strong that they dubbed it over. I think that's what happened.
Oh, that could be that. Yeah, I thought he was just learning to speak English while he was filming that. He was in the process, but maybe you're right. Maybe he already knew, and he just couldn't overcome his accent enough at that time.
Bruce Lee
Did he
horror
really?
films that people brought over here. The ones that I like are the Jackie Chan movies because in some cases, I can't tell if they originally did them in English or something, because I don't know. Part of it is because he does speak, or the crew he has speaks a number of different languages. So it's like, did they do one set that was all in one thing, and then they did a really good job of dubbing it or something? I don't know. Because I think it's all in their voices, at least.
Ultimate Kahuna says even old anime dubs are funny and cringe, both for the translation issues and the not so subtle changes.
Oh yeah, a friend of mine suggested I watch one particular one. I don't even remember what it was, but it was hilariously bad, and it was very serious. Like, and they were taking everything very seriously, but whatever translation program they used to translate it from Japanese to English was just weird, or it was completely lost in translation, and just nonstop laughing the entire time.
Oh, you want to talk about Lost in Translation between Japan and U.S.? Castlevania 2. That's one of those you gotta solve puzzles, but the translations and the hints were way wrong. So at some point you had to go to the far right of the entire map, kneel down near a cliff and wait for a few, and then it triggers something to happen. But the hints they give in the game, the translation was so bad, there was no way to figure it out because none of it made sense. You had to go look up what to do. You could not beat the game without cheating.
Brother.
King
got one
Bob,
for you.
both of the Drunken Masters I love. I have to watch them in
Both.
the native language with subtitles. Dubs are not good.
Both. What do you mean by both? Is there a second one?
There's two, aren't there?
I thought there was only one.
Yeah, I'm only
Was there
familiar
only
with
one?
one. But then again, I also remember there's a Super Cop and a Super Cop 2. But I went and
Let me
looked
look it
stuff
up.
up on IMDb recently, and it's only showing Super Cop. It's not showing the second one. Although maybe it's under a different title on IMDb or something.
Ultimate Kahuna asks, y'all ever watch Ghost Stories? Best dub of all time? I have not seen it, so I do not know.
Have you accepted Jesus as your personal savior?
I have. Have you?
That's
Yeah,
a line
there was
from the
two
show.
Drunken Masters.
Oh,
That's very fast too.
Hey, just let you know there is 2 of them. That's why I was remembering there being 2.
So I got one for you. The original Fate Stay Night series, the dub was so bad that it's actually ranked in one of the top 10 most funny ones to just read the English on.
I have heard this. I have heard about this.
My favorite line out of all of it is people die when they're dead.
Jose Hernandez asked, "Can you imagine a Razor Fist cyberpunk novel? That would probably be pretty kick-ass."
Yeah, probably would. I think the only anime that I cannot watch the original non-dubbed version of is Cowboy Bebop, because the person that plays Spike plays him as a funny guy, and it's just like complete contrast from the way it was done in English. I think the English is just a much better version, but then also that's also the one that I saw the mushroom episode like 3 times before I saw any of the rest of them, and I was like, I got to see more of this because this is just awesome.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say I am way out of the loop on much of this anime. I got into it for a while in my teens and early 20s, but then life kind of happened and I got away from TV for the most part altogether. But I remember watching things like Fist of the North Star. I watched that after I read the graphic novel or novels. There was like a whole collection of those, and somebody at school had them, so I kind of tore through those. Here's something that I don't think it was. It might be classified as an anime. I watched it growing up as a kid, but I think it was actually made in France, not Japan. It's called Belle and Sebastian. Anybody remember that one?
I'm not familiar with that one.
Have a good night, Christy. Thanks for stopping in. It was good to see you.
France made a lot of animated shows there in the 90s and 2000s, and they still totally do it that are anime-esque.
Let me look that up.
Actually, France has got a lot of great independent films. It's sad that they don't come over to the US. You almost have to have a VPN or something to watch most of them.
Well, France is sometimes strange.
Netflix picks up a bunch of them fucking French movies as well.
And that's how you got
Bob.
Sorry, Rito.
Yeah.
No, you're what? I heard Berg.
I don't know if this works.
It works.
You're working.
Hey.
You know, I did something right.
It's always a first.
Yep.
We were showing off your website earlier, Bob.
Yeah.
I know. I'll have to go back and watch and see what you guys thought.
Well, you're the king. It's a king site.
We read a couple of the reviews.
I'm
Pretty
only the
good.
king of the potato people.
It looks like some
That's not true. You're
European
king of
stuff.
the tavern.
Oh, frick. I have seen that.
The Big Dog?
I didn't
Seems
remember the
familiar.
name.
Belle
Belle
and
Sebastian, a Scottish indie pop band. Oh, that's the wrong thing.
Apparently, there's a whole bunch of different versions and iterations of it, but primarily
No, it's
this-
Japanese.
this is what because I mentioned this like a few years ago to somebody. He said, no, that wasn't from Japan. That was from France. I'm like, really? He said, yeah, they like to copy Japan. I don't know if what he was telling me was true or not. It's just kind of stuck.
No, so what I'm reading on the always trustworthy Wikipedia, it streamed on Jesus. It aired on NHK from 1981 to 1982. That's a Japanese network, one of the big ones. Series was aired in many countries beyond Japan, including an English language script written by Eileen Optut, and the series was dubbed into English by Synchro Quebec in Montreal.
Did you say Quebec?
I said
Yeah.
Quebec.
That's not English.
Those dang Canadians.
Can't
Blame
speak French,
Canada.
can't speak English.
Is it just me, or does this kid look like a young Sam Winchester?
Echo looks like a murderer.
Again, looks like a young Sam Winchester.
Look, the province of Quebec is still bitter over the 7 Years' War. Okay, they're very salty.
No, but it's still, though, even if it's Japanese, France has got some serious competition. If they'd ever just hop over this ocean, they could be a real force here. In terms of their comics and the way
Yeah,
their stories are
I mentioned Lyoko. I mentioned Lyoko Hernandez.
written. Oh, see? Even Kahuna says so.
And he knows what he's talking about when it comes to comics. He's got a little experience there.
I hope so. If not, we're in trouble.
Oh, we were in trouble before we even started. What are you talking about?
Yeah.